Hi there, YouTube. Thanks for stopping by. This is Dollface here. If you're here for the latest and trendiest new books and anime of the year, you're in the wrong place. This channel is dedicated towards books and anime that have premiered in the last 2, 5, 10 years and just don't get that much attention, or you don't have anyone to discuss them with. This is the place. And for today's book, the one that I have decided to talk about is Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing her name. Rowell, I'm not sure, but Rainbow Rowell, Eleanor and Park. Let's get started. This book came out in, I believe, 2011, 2012, and it's one of those books where you see like on the bookshelf or on the top young adult readers list, and you're like, I'll get to it, and you just keep seeing it, and it's just like soon. And so I decided, okay, just flipping through my Kindle, I'm looking at the library, and I'm just like, okay, I'll check it out. So I download it, and I decided I'll give it a shot, and I fall in love with it. I fall in love with the book. I love this author's writing style. It is so flavorful. It is so tasteful. It is very enchanting. I love the way that she writes about the human experience of love. And it's not just about the first fluttery feelings of first love, but rather the sensations that surround it. And what I mean by that is the theme of this book is not so much first love and true love, but the 5 senses of love. And that's what I really enjoyed about the book. So in this video, I'm going to really discuss the 5 sensations that I got through reading this novel. I have to say that I didn't really get into it until chapter 8, and the reason is because I didn't like how the characters were separated, and I mean that's okay. And we had to have a build-up of backstory and have the characters see what they're like when they're not together. Because then how do we really know what they're like if we had them together from the jump? So the chapters 1 through 8, I wasn't really keen on because they were honestly just kind of boring to me. But then I got to chapter 8, and then everything was different. The reason why I liked chapter 8 was because that was the day when Park and Eleanor were on the bus, and from the very first chapter, or from the very first paragraph in that chapter, he noticed that she's reading my books with me on the bus. And then the cute thing was that he noticed that she was reading the books with him on the bus, and he's like not trying to say, oh, do you want to read too, but rather, I guess I'll just leave the page a little longer. I'll leave her a little bit of time to read the page or for her to catch up. And for those of you who were a little confused, I thought you were just doing a review. This page is also dedicated to people who have already read the book, hence the term spoiler alert. So it's more like an online book club. So I also apologize in advance for not telling you, but we're going to definitely be discussing the book. If you haven't read it first, just feel free to read the book and then come back. I'll be here. So yes, I really enjoyed the small subtleties of the beginning of the love that is about to blossom. And again, I was going to say that I was going to talk about the 5 senses of the book. And let's start first with sight. What Eleanor and Park see in each other goes beyond the physical. It goes into the soul. They notice things about each other that most people take for granted, most people don't catch, and what most people don't consider important. There was a part in the book where Eleanor is watching him in English class, and she realizes he has a deep V. The point in his hair in the back comes down into a deep V. She notices that. Park notices that her hair it catches certain rays in the sun. That's very beautiful. That's very enticing to a reader. One of the things that I liked about the author when she talks about the visuals is how they move throughout the space, how the characters view one another in that space. One of the parts in the book that really popped out to me in terms of sight was, and that kind of like really resonated with me, not just as a reader but as a person, was when Eleanor was talking about how she felt in her gym suit. For someone who is overweight, for someone who is not really comfortable in their body, even when we're wearing the same thing as everyone else, you really notice the kind of space that you take up in regards to other people. And so there's a time when Eleanor has her clothes stolen and they're shoved into the toilet at school, and she has nothing but this really ugly, one color tracksuit or one color gym suit that's really unflattering on her. And not just the kind of unflattering where it's like, oh, this is embarrassing for everyone. It's really embarrassing for me because of the way that I look in it and the way I stick out, like literally stick out in this gym uniform. And I'm gonna just read what she wrote. The shorts just barely cleared her underwear, and the fabric was stretched so tight over her chest, the seams were starting to pop under her arms. If you could imagine how tight that is, where the seams are starting to pop, and you just have this big uniboob looking, look, and it's all one color, and it's red, so it's very vibrant and bright, and you're just noticeable at a time when you don't want to be noticed, where you actually want to turn invisible. That really connected with me as a reader and personally, and that also connected to the sensation or the sense of sight, because in this case you don't want to be seen because you feel unsightly. So I really like that part of the story where I really empathize for the character. Anyone who's ever been in high school or in a situation where you need to get out, you need to get out fast. So thank you very much for that, Rainbow. Another sensation or sense that is touch, and I really love how the author zooms in on a particular moment in time when touch just seems or appears to be insignificant, and it means the world. You tap someone on the shoulder, you brush their elbow, and it's nothing. But to someone who you are crazy in love with, the touch means everything. And the first time, for someone who's taking it very slow, the first time you hold someone's hand is electrifying. And you can't imagine what it was like before not to hold their hand. And Park describes this very well. He says, holding Eleanor's hand was like holding a butterfly or a heartbeat, like holding something complete and completely alive. How wonderful is that? How wonderful is that? When was the last time you ever felt that way, if you're in a relationship, that way about holding someone? Not just a kiss, not anything more than that, but just being satisfied with holding a hand. That's beautiful, and I liked that. I appreciated that. Another thing about touch that I liked was when, at the end of the book, when Eleanor is parting from Park. She's about to go to her uncle's house, her uncle and aunt's house, and if anyone who's ever had to say a hard goodbye realizes that, if I just hold on to them long enough, I can just take a piece of them with me. Their warmth, their heartbeat, their essence, their smell. You just don't want to let them go. But then as soon as you release yourself, the touch, it's actually, I read somewhere that we actually don't touch, for some reason. I think it was Vsauce. That said that, we actually don't touch anything. There's some form of space, some kind of atoms that prevent us from truly touching. So to touch someone and then to release them from you, you realize that you can't bring any of them with you, and what you have is what you get. And I think that's very important for a lot of people to understand. And I'm going to get more into that a little later on. But the highlighted part that I had read was, you think that holding someone hard will bring them closer. You think that you can hold them so hard that it, you'll still feel them embossed on you when you pull away. I love that part. The next sense is taste. Taste. This is interesting because the author doesn't give you cliche things like oh, you taste so sweet, or I love the way you taste. She goes more so into a little bit of disturbing qualities when she talks about taste, and I love it because I think that when someone is really, really into you, it's just not so much about I love the taste of your lips on mine. It's I want to devour you almost. I want to devour you. I want to become part of you, and I want, not in such of a cannibalistic way, but it's more of like it would do me so, it would be a great honor to see what you taste like. I'm kind of getting like Tokyo Ghoul kind of vibes right now, and I'm thinking about the gourmet. Anyone who watches Tokyo Ghoul will understand. So a part that stuck out to me was when Park met Eleanor at the bus stop, and he was just talking. He wasn't doing anything cute. He wasn't doing anything, especially sexy. He was just talking. And sometimes when we look at people when they're not directly at us, when they're in their candid self, that we really appreciate, what they're giving us. Maybe like, a cheeky smile or a raised eyebrow. And it's like, that's when it's like, God, I love you. Or it's like, you just mean so much to me. And he was talking, it was cold outside. And she said it was cold and half dark, and Eleanor could see Park's breath. She resisted the urge to try and swallow it. That kind of gives you shivers up your spine, That kind of gives you shivers because it's just like, who would think of that? Who does that? She does. And it's just like, you kind of get to know how much she loves him, how much she really, really wants to be with him. And it's throughout the whole story, you read about Park and Eleanor and how much they love each other and how much they really find one another irresistible. But then it's kind of scary because she's like, I don't want to creep this person out. I don't want to say yeah, I want to eat your face. I mean, I guess when you get really comfortable enough to say that, then yes, you could jokingly say I want to eat your face. But, in those first throngs of beginner's love, everything's so intense and everything's so takes your breath away. It's so fantastic, this feeling, the sensations of love, not just the butterflies in your tummy. I'm talking about the things that make your ears ring and your palms sweat and the thoughts that you think no, that's weird, that's crazy, don't say that, don't do that, don't tell her that. I liked the way the author really made you feel comfortable and uncomfortable with familiar and unfamiliar feelings. Yes. There was the time when Eleanor was in Park's house and her mom was giving her a makeover, and she had on a pink lip gloss. He said, I bet she tastes like strawberries. That's cute. That's cute. I think that was the most cliched part of the story. That was the only part. But the wanting to taste someone, the wanting to again devour someone. I wonder what you taste like. Not in a very non-sexual way. So cool. I didn't really get so much for smells because I know that Eleanor, her mother tends to dab vanilla behind her ears, but that was really it. So I didn't really get that much for smell. But I do know that for the most part, everywhere that Eleanor went, the smell of vanilla seemed to linger behind, and it also inhabited every area that she was in and everything that she touched. So at a part in the book, he said that every time Eleanor gave him a stack of comic books back, it came back smelling like vanilla. And so the olfactory system, the olfactory system is linked to again, taste. So it's like I smell you and now I crave you. So it's like smells trigger memories. So it's like to smell you and not have you means I miss you. And in the beginning of the book, they definitely say, I miss you. I miss you. You don't know how much I have missed you. And it's like, do you like me? He's like, I don't like you. I need you. I love that. I love that. That's cool. As I was saying, the author does well to explore things that transcend the five senses as well, and more so like the physical self. And it's really it's a vulnerability, and it's a probing, and it's a penetration. The way that someone can look past yourself, to look past the person that you're trying to present, and to see you and accept you for who you really are, and what you're trying to hide. An example of the author showing vulnerability and invasiveness and penetration is Eleanor and her family. There are no boundaries. In fact, they're very warped boundaries. The so-called boundaries that I'm speaking of are the emotional ones and the mental, and particularly the physical boundaries that people should have with another, but don't exist. The kind of psychological boundaries that keep people out and as well as in the membrane that are people's lives. Eleanor sleeps in a bedroom with three of her siblings, Mouse, Maisie, and Ben, and they all sleep together in one room. And it's very invasive and penetrating when you not so much want to be alone, but just want to embody your own space, and it's just not there. Whenever she needs to move or like go to the bathroom, she's always stepping over someone, or someone's always like on top of her, hugging her, or maybe someone's wet the bed. It's a penetration of your space. You can't even sleep in your room without someone wetting the bed, disturbing your sense of self, like your cleanliness, and their smells, and it's just there's no way for you to just inhabit your own space. So I can understand that. I didn't get my own room until I was like 17 years old, so I know what that's like when you just want to have your own space to embody. I'm an introvert. Believe it or not, I am very introverted, and I'm an INFJ. Take the test to find out what you are. And space is very important to me. Space is everything that encapsulates how I live my life. So by reading Eleanor's story and seeing what her family is like, they're very invasive, and it just makes my skin crawl to see what she's like in that environment. She's very sullen, she's emotional, she's angry. You can definitely see a very angry person living in that household. And it just made me really sad. Every time we went back to that house, I was just like, oh gosh, here we go again. It made me so tense. And it made me angry as well because of her mother. Her mother is weak. I had to say it. I want to hear in the comments down below what you think of her mother. But I just got so angry with her because it's not even like she was the kind of mother who was like, I'll be the punching bag, but just protect my children. It was rather, we're all his punching bag, so stay out of his way. And I'm just like, oh no, come on, you can't do that. You can't do that. I don't have children of my own, I don't. But I just feel like if I were in that situation, it's just like, I'd rather be the punching bag. I'm not gonna like talk about like, why do women stay? I'm not gonna do that. But if someone's got to get it, it's gonna be me. I can't have that happen to my kids. To tell them, he's not in a good mood tonight, so make sure you don't act up, or, we really don't need this. Everyone's in a good mood, so make sure, you don't say anything to get him upset. Come on. You can't do that. It's also disturbing how the author doesn't come outright and say it, but you also get this unsettling feeling that they all know what he's capable of sexually, but it's never said. Like there's one part where Eleanor is taking a shower and her mom says, "I'll watch the door for you." And I'm just like, what do you mean you'll watch the door? Like, do you know this man is capable of coming in and possibly touching your daughter? I find a problem with that. Like, what do you mean you want? Like, you shouldn't have to watch the door unless there's no door on it. And it's like, you know, okay, I'll stand here while you take a shower. They have a door. Why do you have to watch it? Who are you protecting her from? Who are you guarding her from? I have a problem with that. And I also don't like, they don't talk about it, but the fact that Richie kicked Eleanor out of the house for a year, not a few days, not a few weeks. She was separated from her family for 1 year to go live, not even with an aunt and uncle, not even with, you know, cousins or someone, with neighbors. And that's totally uncool. I didn't appreciate that. The part that I really liked when it started to wrap up was when, oh my gosh, when Richie was the one who was writing those unflattering comments on her textbooks, is the beginning of the chapter, and it says Eleanor considered her options, and the page was blank. It's like, what do you do? I have nowhere to go. I can't talk to my mom. I can't, you know, I don't want to go talk to Park about this. The fact that when he discovered the notes on her textbook and she thought maybe it was Tina, she didn't even want him to know then. So the fact that it's my stepdad, my creepy, gross, drunken, abusive stepdad, I don't want you to know that he's been the one who's been writing those ungodly, you know, sick, disgusting, sexual comments about me. And it's also like about the penetration I was talking about earlier. And Park saying, like, you know, maybe he's just mad, maybe he's just drunk, you know, maybe you just let him cool off. And she's like, you don't understand the way that he looks at me. There's no sense of personal space, physically, mentally, emotionally. And now he's getting up here. Where it's like he's harassing her in her mental, making her feel so dirty. And I just really hated him. When you read the book, you know, Richie doesn't really even say much. He just has these moments where it's like he plateaus and everything's cool, everything's fine, and then all hell breaks loose. Next thing you know, like, you know, everyone's just eating a nice dinner, and then, like, dinner is ruined. He gets mad and he throws a dish at the wall, and everyone is silent. So you don't get to hear much from Richie, but just his presence alone, from the interest that we do have of him in the story, are just enough to make you know that he's a character that you don't want to be around. You don't want to make him upset. He's not someone who has anyone's best interest in mind, and is very concerned, not concerned, but he's very happy with making sure that everyone else is unhappy. And I want to hear more in the comments as well about what you think about Eleanor's family dynamic, and, you know, maybe what she could have done, what her mother could have done. But yeah, I don't want to end on a bad note. I really enjoyed reading Eleanor and Park. It was a satisfying read, and I enjoyed letting the author envelope me in all of these 5 senses and getting a different take on what it means to be truly in love and to discover love for the first time, and what it means when you've got to let it go. So thank you so much for tuning in to my discussion for Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. The next book that I'm going to review is A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. I started reading this book sometime last year, and I finished the first one. It's the first one in the All Souls trilogy, but I never got to finish it. I mean, look at that. It's about 574 pages, and I'm about to start reading it now. So if you would like to discuss it with me in my next channel, go ahead and like this video, comment and subscribe, and we can talk about it more in the future. So go to your nearest library, or if you already have it or you want to go buy it, go get it now, because we're going to go talk about this in the next book. So make sure you have pen and paper ready to see what you want to talk about. Maybe there's something that I missed that you wanted to get my attention, and I will be more than happy to discuss it with you. For my people who love anime, I am currently watching 2 anime right now. I am finishing Ojamajo Doremi, Moto, and I am watching Full Metal Alchemist. Not Brotherhood, but just the original one. I'm not going to do a video on Ojamajo Doremi because I stopped watching that and I just jumped back into it again. So I don't really remember everything from Ojamajo Doremi and Ojamajo Doremi Sharp. So I'm on Moto and I'm going to finish Dokkan. By the way, did anyone realize that Ojamajo Doremi has a light novel for when they were in high school? I didn't know that. But if you know where I can find it or know where I can read it, please tell me in the comments below. I love when you guys, interact with me. I really appreciate that. So I will see you in the next video, and thanks very much for tuning in. Check you later.